Hey, welcome to Fireside Gaming. It's Billum. I came back from SEGE, Southeast Game Exchange, with my family last night. We only attended for Saturday, so we picked up some games. The theme this year was Donkey Kong Country. They had the composer of Donkey Kong Country and Banjo-Kazooie there, and I didn't see him. We didn't see him. We go to these kind of things to buy games. It's really our big interest in it. They have a whole event guide where, they have, people who are going to be there, sponsors, jazz like that, panels and everything. But at the end of the day, my family is there to buy games and stuff like that. So that's what we did. And starting off this video, sorry I bumped you all there, as I do every SEG video, will first be a focus on things that are not games. So let me clear this out of the way. My wife has a tradition every year where she buys a plushie, and this year she bought a shiny Umbreon. Let me move my light here, maybe let you guys see that a little better. So dark type Pokemon. But she picked up the shiny Umbreon, came from one of the sellers there, and she was pretty happy with it. This was her plushie pick. She also got several games, which we'll get into here in just a second, because I also have to show things my son got. For example, one of the booths, was giving away three free stickers to kids, and he got this little Sandshrew sticker, which is a great pick because Sandshrew/Sandslash are one of my favorite Pokemon for the first gen of games. Wife suggested it to him. Great pick. He also has, because of course he does, a Mario plushie that he got there. This isn't actually something we paid for. One of the guys that was there selling his private collection had a tote of plushies under it, under his table, that was just for, to give away to kids who were, maybe a little bored or overwhelmed by the convention or anything like that. And, he was kind enough to pull it out and, offer a plushie to my son, and my son Sai picked out this. Mario plushie. Not that he doesn't have other Mario plushies. He doesn't have one of these ones. This style of it. But yeah, he grabbed it, and that's that. But he has a couple of other things. He very much wanted this little Kyogre finger puppet thing. He was flying this thing around all the time we were going in SEGE. He was chilling in the wagon and just kind of playing with this, so that was cool. And then the last one, and this one's really funny to me, is he picked out this Dragon Quest slime. And he did this because he recognized that I'm playing through Dragon Quest VIII right now. Not for review or anything like that, just a game to play in my personal time, because I've only just started reviewing the Final Fantasy series on this channel, and it'll be a long time before I probably ever get to Dragon Quest. And I've only played 1 and 3, and my wife Loxia was like, you should just go ahead and play 8. You've been wanting to, and it's true, because it's a game I always heard about in high school. Everybody hyped it up. So I've been playing it. He's been loving watching me play it, and he recognized this slime and he instantly wanted it. So that was his this is probably his big purchase, I guess, was this plushie. This was one of the things he was really happy to get. And with the other little collectibles out of the way, we're going to move on to games. I'm going to start with Nintendo games, and I'm going to start with a couple of loose games first. So we have Wings for the Game Boy Advance. This is a dogfighting, plane flying kind of game. I actually don't know a whole lot about it, because this is something that my wife played growing up, and she's been looking for a copy of it for 5 years now, probably. I think it's been about 5 years, and this is the first time we've ever seen a copy, and she immediately grabbed it, and she was super happy. This might not be the highlight of what she got from the con, but she is very, very happy to have this. Maybe this is the highlight, I don't know. And next, we have one that's a bit of a highlight for me. This was a very big one for me to find. Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo on the N64. I played this as a kid. My friend had it. I really enjoyed it. I always wanted to play it again. And man, I couldn't find it anywhere. I've been looking for this forever. You can find Rogue Squadron and, all of those Shadows of the Empire, all of those other Star Wars N64 games. You can find those easily. This one is so hard to find, and there were 2 copies there that I saw, and one was this one with the manual and one was without the manual, and so I went ahead and grabbed this one. The wife and I have always intended to buy those aftermarket in plastic N64 cases, so the manual will go perfectly in there. I haven't actually... Here, hold on, you guys are going to get a lot of noise. Ah, shoot, I bumped my light. Hold on just a second. Good light. Alright. Yeah, I hadn't actually opened it up and like checked the manual or anything like that. It looked like it was in good shape, so I just left it at that. I wasn't even like super concerned if I got the manual or not or anything like that. I never am on these older games that, you know, had cardboard boxes and were, you know, maybe not the best to keep together. But I'm glad to have this. I've been wanting to play this again for quite a while, and considering I've repaired my N64 joysticks with ones from 8BitDo, I can go ahead and do that whenever I feel like it. So, yeah. And those were the loose games, and we're just going to go ahead and keep going with Nintendo games. Let's get another pick from Loxia. She picked up Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition for Switch. This is actually, Ori is one of the games that she's been hounding me to play for a while. It's one of her favorite games. It's in her top 10. She's played it on Steam. She very much loves it. And yeah, she wanted it physical, and they had a Switch copy there. I think I'm pretty sure this was sealed brand new when she purchased it, and she's already opened it up and like looked at stuff. I just realized I showed off her soundtrack redemption code. I'm going to have to blur that. But yeah. And next is Meepick Collection of Mana. Now this is the first 3 Secret of Mana games, so we get Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and Trials of Mana, which this was the first time Trials of Mana was officially released in English. There's been a fan translation for years. I've played some Final Fantasy Adventure and some Secret of Mana, never Trials of Mana, and I've never beaten these. These are the kind of games that, like, especially Secret of Mana, I'd like to play through with Loxia and I together, but we'll see what happens with that. One thing that's really cool about this case, not really a booklet, but it comes with a reversible cover, and it's actually one of the reversible covers that, like, it still has, like, the game's name on the spine, which I always love it whenever they do that, because you can still put it on your shelf and have, like, this nice, beautiful cover without, like, just text and information and stuff on it and everything, but then you also can still easily find it within your game collection. So that's really cool. I'm glad to have this. The Mana series, or Mana series, I don't know, is one that I've really wanted to sink my teeth into, and I haven't had the chance to yet, so this will allow me to do that. And this is another wife pick. She has been getting into the Pokemon Rumble games. This one is World for the 3DS. She just found Blast a couple months ago, and she's played through it already. She's found that she really enjoys... Man, this thing's stuck. Come on. There we go. No manual, copy of the game, and she's found that she's really enjoyed these, like, kind of simple Pokemon games. She really digs them. I've been having fun with them, so she was looking for them during the con, and she found one. And next is another wife pick, and this is a big one for her. This is Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the Wii. This is a reimagining of Silent Hill 1, and it's, I think, the last Silent Hill, except for, like, if you count Book of Memories. She might pick up Book of Memories for the Vita one of these days, but it's kind of an odd one. But this is, like, the last Silent Hill game that she needed for her collection. She very much likes Silent Hill. Not my thing, so, you know, don't expect me to tell you much about this. It's not really my thing. When I go for horror, I go for Resident Evil. I think I've mentioned that on the channel before. But yeah, she has this. This basically finishes up her Silent Hill collection. Unless she goes for, like, a physical copy of one, because we have it through PSN. And she might do that someday. Or, like I said, Book of Memories for the Vita might be one she picks up. But this is definitely what we would call a milestone on, like, you know, her collection, because it's basically complete at this point. And this next one's weird because I bought it but I'm probably not going to be the one that plays it. This is Baten Kaitos Origins, and I was glad to see that the Baten Kaitos games have decreased in price ever since the remasters came out. I love when remasters are released because they allow me to buy the original games for cheaper. And that's something I prefer, because I always find that the remasters do something I don't want, whether it just be like poor upscaling or things like that. This one's complete. We've got a nice thick manual. We've got both of our discs here. I have experience with the original Baten Kaitos. I didn't beat it. I think I got stuck on the second disc. But it's a unique turn-based card game where you build... Yeah, turn-based card game. Turn-based RPG, but you have a deck that you build, and that deck makes attacks, and you can combine attacks and items and stuff to do different things. It's very interesting. I've never played this one. I played the original. I enjoyed it, but I'm probably not going to be the one to play this because my wife has very much become the authority on Monolith Soft games in this house. She loves the Xeno games. Not as much too, but she likes Chronicles and X, and she's picked up the Xeno Sagas, and she needs to play Xenogears yet. We have it on PSN as well. And Baten Kaitos was one that she wanted to check out because she's been getting into, like I said, all things Monolith Soft. I don't know if I can find their name on here, but Baten Kaitos was made by them. Is there Monolith Soft? I see Bandai Namco. I wonder if this one was. I've always assumed that Origins was also made by Monolith Soft, because I know the original was. I don't know. I guess I'll have to look into that more, but this is one that she'll probably play before I ever do. Still a really good thing to pick up. Now we get to another big pick. Lost Kingdoms 2. I have the first one. I very much dig From Software games. There's something about their design style I just really like, even if you get into the older games. I've covered plenty of their games, Evergrace, Forever Kingdom, all sorts of Armored Cores. I like FromSoft games. They have a design philosophy I very much enjoy. I have the first Lost Kingdoms on GameCube. I think it's only on GameCube, so I don't think that was necessary to say, but whatever. Now I have Lost Kingdoms 2. And this is complete. It's actually in really nice shape. I was looking at it at the convention, and I was like, wow, this is just in pristine condition. So this one is, yet again, kind of tied to Baten Kaitos, I guess, in this sense. They're both RPGs that have card battling elements to them. I think in this you use cards to summon monsters to fight for you. I really need to dive into the series. I'm thinking about next year focusing on FromSoft games because it's going to be their 40th anniversary. And that would allow me to basically start playing some of these games I haven't played yet. And also, accelerate my coverage of the Armored Core series. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. And now we come to our final Nintendo game. And that is Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. I enjoy the Phantasy Star games. I've played the original. I've played Universe and Portable, and I played Online 2 when it came out there for a bit. So I enjoy the Phantasy Star series and Universe. So I picked this one up, and I got this one for fairly cheap. And I wasn't paying enough attention whenever I bought it. And you'll understand, this was my last pick of the day. We had been walking on our feet for 7 hours around the con. We were tired. We wanted to go home. And this was my last pick, and I screwed up. I didn't check it like I should have. So I have a disc. I have no manual. And to top it off, the place that was selling these used fake art. This is a decent quality print, but you can definitely feel it on the back. It's not that glossy feel that this normally has. And it gets a little blurry, and you can kind of see the printing lines. I wasn't paying enough attention. My wife noticed this after we got home. And whenever I mentioned which booth I bought it from, she pointed out that she was pretty sure a lot of their art was printed art. I think this is scummy. I think this is incredibly scummy of booths to have their games with this art that tries to look like it's the official printed art. Screw those guys. Just my opinion there. I don't like that. So now as we... Oh my goodness. Come on, you're not even real art. Why do I care? So now, as I collect games, one of the things that we look for are manuals and stuff like that. So I guess I'll be on the lookout for a manual as well as some official art for this game, since that particular seller at SEGE was kind of scummy. I've seen sellers that whenever they put art in, they print it in black and white just so that you can easily identify the game, but that you clearly know that the art isn't official. These guys clearly went out of their way, because this side of it has a glossy, like the inside, it has a glossy feel on the side that was printed on. It doesn't on the inside. They were clearly being underhanded, and that sucks. But that's something you do have to watch out, not just at cons, but, you know, sellers in general. Okay, so with that, we have covered all of the GameCube games, and Nintendo games, I should say, but not everything Nintendo, because I found this and I bought it. This actually came from the same guy who gave my son the Mario plushie. I bought this GameCube Pro Mini 2 Intech controller. It's got rubberized grips, which haven't degraded. I was surprised by that. A lot of times these controllers with these rubberized grips kind of degrade over time. A little dirty, but, you know, hey, whatever, we'll clean that up. And the guy gave me a deal on this, basically. This and another game that I bought from him. But I looked at it. I was kind of curious about grabbing it because, you know, it's technically a new GameCube controller. I mean, the travel distances on the X and Y buttons seem kind of crazy. But one of my reasons for grabbing this is that it's a more mini, smaller sized controller. And I thought this would be perfect for whenever I am introducing my son to games and letting him play games. And whenever he goes to play games on GameCube, or, you know, even if it's something on PC through a GameCube adapter, because like I've done that, he can use this miniature controller, which will probably fit in his hands a bit better. And that was my idea behind it. It's also got, like, you know, the standard third-party controller things like Turbo and Program and stuff like that. Nothing I care about. But I thought this would be a great pickup for him. And the guy cut a deal on it because he, like I said, he was selling private collection stuff. And he was like, frankly, I'm just kind of tired of seeing that sit around my house. So, you know, if you want it, and he bundled it together with the game I was buying and stuff like that. And yeah, normally I would open this up, but I don't actually have a knife in here with me, so I'm not going to do that. This will be really hard to open. It's going to make a lot of noise, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to keep it on camera. But yeah, this was just something cool that I picked up for a pretty good price. Okay, so let's move on to Xbox. There's not very many of these, and we are instantly starting off with a From Software game. Probably one of their worst reviewed ones. Murakumo Renegade Mech Pursuit does not have good reviews, and despite that, I wanted it. It's a fairly cheap FromSoft game. It's mecha. I mean, I like FromSoft mech games. You know, they make all the Armored Core games. They made like the Another Century episodes, Metal Wolf Chaos, stuff like that. So of course I wanted to check this out. And it is complete. It's all in, you know, good shape and everything like that. And I wanted to see if the negative reception to this game was just like, is the game actually bad? Or was it because it was like their first game on Xbox and the audience didn't react well to it? Or, you know, because like they had built up, you know, quite a fan base on PS2 with Armored Core games and stuff like that. So I really had to wonder if it was just it being on Xbox and like kind of hitting the wrong target audience. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being silly. Either way, this is one I want to check out. I've opened the way for me to look at Xbox games now that I've finally covered one with not Metal Arms. That's a completely different game. Gunmetal. There we go. I just reviewed Gunmetal. That review went up a couple weeks ago. That was my first Xbox review, and I'm definitely going to be doing more of them. And this is another one that's up and a candidate for it. Okay, another Xbox game. This is one that I've been meaning to pick up for a while, and it is Phantom Crash, speed, stealth, survival, and this is yet again another mech game. It's almost like I have an affinity for mecha, you know? It's not like there's not like a Gundam kit right back here. But I tried to play SLAI, Steel Lancer Arena International, for the PS2 a few years ago, and due to a memory card corruption, I lost my save data and I didn't beat it. I talk about that in my 5 games that defeat me or beat me or something. I can't remember what I titled it. It'll be on screen. And this is the first game in that 2-game series. So this is Phantom Crash. It's an Xbox exclusive, and yeah, I think it's got more of a story focus than Steel Lancer Arena International has. But this is one that I've been meaning to pick up for a while now, and I just haven't. Just recently, a viewer mentioned this game to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of it, just haven't actually played it. And with this, I have the chance to. This case is weird, by the way. I'm sure maybe some of you Xbox collectors have probably noticed, but it's like a very transparent case. And like, I'm used to Xbox cases being like more solid, opaque, you know? And it doesn't look like a 360 case, because like 360 cases aren't this, I don't know if you can tell under this camera light, but they are not usually the same kind of brightness, like this neon almost looking green. It's much more visible to the human eye than it is to this camera. So this might be an aftermarket case. I'm not really sure. But it is complete. You know, we've got the manual, we've got the disc. It's all in, you know, nice shape and everything like that. So yeah. And now we have our last Xbox game coming up here, which is Metal Dungeon. I know jack all about that. It was at the same shop that had Murakumo, and I don't know. I just saw it. I think it was like $10, and I looked at the back of it, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it looks like it could be pretty fun. I think it's some kind of RPG with dungeon crawling, and it's got like sci-fi and fantasy elements mixed together. So, I mean, that seems up my alley. I've never heard of this before. I don't know anything about it, and it was like $10. So I just took a shot on it, you know? Give me something else to check out on Xbox. And with that, that's all of our Xbox stuff done, which means we're going to get to the final set of games. Let me slide them over here gently, which are PlayStation games. And we're going to start with a newer game. This is a pick from my wife. Alan Wake Remastered. My wife very much enjoys Alan Wake. They're some of her favorite games. She's played 1 and its extra DLC thing. She's played Quantum Break. She's getting ready to play Control. She likes this whole Remedy universe. And so she wanted to pick up the Alan Wake Remastered collection because, yet again, just like with Ori, if we really like a game that we've played on PC and played digital, we would like to own it physical. And so that's what this is. We now have this game physical on PS4 with PS5 upgrade available. We don't have a PS5. If we ever do, it'll be years. As was the case with all modern games, they include tabs for manuals, but there is never a manual in sight. And I don't even know as if I really need to do a disc check because, like, this thing said pre-owned, but, like, it looked like it was wrapped new. It doesn't look like it's been touched. And it's just one of the games that she wanted to find, and it was there. So, woo. She gets to play more Alan Wake. I'll probably play it because I've watched her play it, and I think it looks like a very intriguing and interesting universe, and it's great for like theory crafting, which is something that I can easily get lost in. All right. And now let's go ahead and move on to PSP games. And first up, we have an import, which is .hack Link. Now, I've already started covering the .hack games on this channel. I have a review of Infection up. I'll throw that in the corner or whatever. And .hack Link is basically the final game in the .hack series until you like, I mean, okay, there's Guilty Dragon, which was a phone game and is kind of part of the .hack universe, but that's really, that's digging into some like more deeper stuff. And then I don't even think Guilty Dragon came out in America, so there's not a whole lot to do with it. So this is kind of like the end-ish of .hack in that sense. It's Japanese, you can see the little zero rating there. It never came out in America, but I think it was just last year a fan translation got released. So this will be really easy for me to just, throw on my PSP and play via the fan translation, and I will be able to play the game completely in English. I'm very glad that we, as a gaming community, have dedicated fans that love and do these passion projects for games, because it allows me to play more games, and I mean that's good. All right. Now we have Metal Gear Acid 2. I'm currently playing Metal Gear Acid 1, kind of. It's so different than what I expected with its turn-based card combat type thing that, it kind of tripped me up a bit when I first started playing, and I really kind of bungled my first couple of missions. But I'm starting to get the hang of it. I kind of put it on hold for a little bit. These aren't anything that I'm playing for the channel, because when I get to Metal Gear, I will do a big coverage of it, because Metal Gear is one of my favorite video game series of all time. I think it actually is the best story ever told, in media, the best story. It's you take movies, you take games, you take books, you put them all together, and this is the best fictional story in existence. I love it. So Metal Gear Acid isn't even part of that story, because it's a side series. Acid and a couple other games are considered non-canon by Kojima, but yeah, I have Acid. It has a nice, fun, reversible cover there, and I have Acid 2 now, so I'm gonna play these. 3D glasses included. 3D gameplay and trailers. I've never actually heard that. Does this have? It probably doesn't. There's no way, right? Yeah, there's no way this has the 3D glasses. Unless they're in the booklet, but I don't know. Nah, it doesn't look like it. That's fine. I was never going to play it in 3D anyway. Let's be honest here. But yeah. Another Metal Gear game, and with that I really only have a couple of Metal Gear games that I don't own, except... Oh wait. Now I have Portable Ops. This is another game that is kind of tied to the main timeline. Oh man, that's a beautiful reverse cover art on that as well. This one was originally intended to be part of the main universe Metal Gear games, and then Kojima kind of considers it uncanon. It's briefly referenced in Metal Gear Solid 4, but I don't care. I enjoyed it when I've played it before. I wanted to own it. I didn't care if I had Portable Ops Plus. The only other Metal Gear game I need to buy is Ghost Babel, and gosh, who knows when that is gonna happen, because Ghost Babel is an expensive game, So for now, this is basically my Metal Gear collection mostly complete. So that's nice. And Acid and Acid 2 are games that are going to be new experiences for me as compared to the others. An all-new Acid trip. Oh, they think they're funny. But yeah, so cool. And if you've ever considered Portable Ops, but you've not played it because it's not Kojima canon, it's more Metal Gear. You'll probably like it. It kind of just fits right in. There's some stuff about it that's a little weird, but nothing too out there. You might hear my son. He's very happily out in the living room. But yeah, it's definitely worth giving a shot if you're just looking for more Metal Gear, but you haven't played it, even though it's not considered Kojima canon. Here's our last PSP game, which is another import, and this is... Hold on. Mobile Suit Gundam Age Cosmic Drive. Now, this is a weird one because these are action RPGs made by Level 5. When I hear Level 5, I immediately think of Dark Cloud and Ni no Kuni. They've made plenty of other things as well. Gosh, I think they worked on Dragon Quest VIII, and I'm playing that right now. But this is, like I said, an action RPG, and I'm not overly familiar with it. This was kind of just a whim random buy while I was there because I saw it at the con, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know much about this, but, I'll pick it up. upon looking it up, it seems that this was kind of a Pokemon style of game in the sense that there were 2 versions released, and then there was a third definitive version of the game released. That doesn't matter to me one way or another. This basically follows the events of the anime, as well as having a few what-if scenarios, which is pretty normal for Gundam games. I mentioned that in my Encounters in Space review, where I talk about how there's a bunch of what-if scenarios. That's, par for the course of Gundam games. This is actually sealed. This is a brand new game, so I shouldn't need a knife for this. So let me just go ahead and open this. Out of here, plastic. All right. Brand new sealed Gundam game. I always love playing Gundam games. I always like playing mech games. Me importing or playing imported Gundam games is really not all that surprising. I've done like a Let's Play of Gundam Battle Chronicle, which is another PSP Gundam game that I picked up at a con way back in like 2008. I've got a couple Let's Plays of that if you wanted to check those out. And who knows, maybe that's something I could do with this one. I'm not overly worried about like story, and who knows if this will ever get a proper review. This might just be something I play. It might be something that I just play because I have like the Project Pegasus, the 1 Year War Gundam game. I have Another Century Episode 3. I have now this. I have some Super Robot Wars games. I have the G Savior game that I picked up at SEGE. I think it was last year. So I have a bunch of imported Gundam games. Maybe I'll just do like a big video on those. I don't know. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. Okay, and now we're on to PS2 games, starting with Ace Combat 4: Shattered Skies. I know very little about Ace Combat. I've played Air Combat on the PS1. I wasn't sold on it, but I've also heard that it's very early and not representative of what the series becomes. So, Ace Combat 4 was there. I picked it up from the same guy I got that GameCube controller from, and my son got the Mario plushie. This was part of that bundle deal where he had this chilling in a box and he was trying to sell it, and it was cheap, and I thought this might be a good entry into Ace Combat for me. Start somewhere cheap. See if it's a series that I even have an inkling of an interest in. From my understanding, and I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the games are usually fairly standalone in the sense that you can kind of jump in and play anywhere, and you don't have to follow a timeline, even though there is 100% a timeline you can follow and play through. If I am wrong about that, please correct me in the comments, because I am not an Ace Combat guy. I don't know a whole lot about it. This is just way out of my scope of what I know about. So yeah, let me know if I just completely bungled that explanation, and correct me so that I can go into the series with a little bit better knowledge. Now we have a strategy game, Ring of Red. Now, I heard about Ring of Red. I used to write for this indie game website back in the day, and my chief editor at the website talked about this game and how hard it was, and how he basically had a save file that he's been poking away at for years now because he's never beat it. And this is a strategy game that is kind of similar to a Valkyria Chronicle game, where it's, you move around the map. It's almost kind of turn-basedy, but not quite, and you move your unit around and you aim at the enemy, and a percentage bar goes up for your chance to hit it and stuff like that. And then you fire and you see if you hit. It's very a combination of that Valkyria Chronicles style of gameplay with the turn-based strategy RPG. It's a lot like that. And I've kind of been interested in it ever since, my editor brought it up ages ago. And so, yeah, I saw it at the con. It's the first time I've ever seen it. I've heard about this game for over 10 years or something like that, but this was the first time I've ever actually seen it. So I went ahead and scooped it up. And yeah, there's what I was talking about with you hold you kind of almost like in those old games, the older games where you would have to snipe and you would have to really fight, holding the scope steady. So this moves around the screen, and as it moves around, that percentage fills up to give you a higher chance to hit the enemy. Yeah, it's neat. It's very interesting. It's something I'm definitely looking to check out. I don't know why it has red across the bar. I'm not sure if that's... Here, let's find out. Oh, yes, here. The glory shot thing where we show the manual and the disc. But let's look real quick. Is that on the art? Or is that on the case? It's on the art. So that might seem like, oh no, how are you going to get that off? And I'll tell you what, the easiest thing to do to get Sharpie off of a manual or art like this is to just take the same, I usually use the same color of it, but I'll just take a red Sharpie and run it over top of this, and doing so will kind of help it refresh this ink. And then you just take a baby wipe and you just very lightly rub it and dab it, and it helps take Sharpie off of this kind of stuff. So if that's something that you have a game that has some kind of writing on it from a previous owner or something, that's a good trick for getting that kind of those kind of marks off of game art and cases and stuff like that. Oh, and now we have one that is actually a game that was recommended by a subscriber. I don't remember who, so apologies for that. I'll see if I can find the comment and flash it up here. This is Wizardry: Tale of the Forsaken Land. And I'm not overly familiar with Wizardry. Do I have some of them through GOG? No, that's Ultima. I'm not overly familiar with Wizardry. I know this is a spin-off that can be played standalone. I know it's a first-person dungeon crawler. I have a bit of a mixed history with first-person dungeon crawler style games because sometimes they make me nauseous, really bad. Phantasy Star 1, played through it, perfectly fine. Shin Megami Tensei 1, sick. Every time I've tried to play it, sick, and I just quit playing the game. I'm playing through Arcana right now for review. Perfectly fine. Doesn't bother me at all. I tried playing through Eternal Ring, From Software game on the PS2, first-person dungeon crawler. Made me nauseous and sick every time I played it. It's so hit or miss what bothers me. I just recently played through the fan translation of Kingsfield 1, and I played through the whole entire first floor of that game. No problems whatsoever. I got to the second floor and I was like, maybe I'll actually save this back for review, because I kind of was really digging it and it wasn't making me sick. So who knows? I don't know. I found that sitting further back away from the TV can help, but I also kind of have to be careful about my movements because something about it messes with me, which is weird because I'll play games like Oblivion and Skyrim and first-person shooters, never bother me. But something about first-person dungeon crawlers, I don't know. They're always very hit or miss. Either way, this was actually suggested by one of you all, and I found it there. I think this is only the second time I've ever seen a copy of this game out in the wild. So I went ahead and picked it up. It's got a little bit of a minor damage to the case, but it's only the case. The game underneath, the art is just fine, not a problem. And opening it up, we can see that the game is in great shape. We've got a blue disc game, it looks like. Yep, that's a blue discer. My PS2 has been running into trouble with blue disc games. Actually, I say it's running into trouble with blue disc games. It's running into trouble with all games right now. I have a hard drive loaded up with a bunch of backups of my games. And yes, legitimate backups. I am 100% the guy that pulls out my portable DVD drive and plugs it in and backups my game. I can't say words. Backs up my games. So, yeah. I do that. I'll probably do that with this one so I can throw it on there. I just need to order a new disk drive at this point. I was actually, when I was finishing my run of Armored Core 3, the disk drive started failing really bad and making loud clicking noises while I was playing, and I went ahead and dug out my hard drive with my games on it and plugged it in through Free McBoot so I could finish playing that game. I could just always play that way and never worry about fixing the disk drive. And I get that would be the better way, but there's something satisfying about just pressing the disk tray button, popping the disk in and playing and not digging through any menus. It's the way I would prefer. So I'll be fixing my disk drive. But until then, I do have that hard drive as backup, and I will 100% back up these games and load them up onto that hard drive so that I can continue playing even until I get around to fixing the disk drive, because it's not always an issue of money. I think they're fairly cheap actually online. It's an issue of when am I going to find the time to do it or the gumption to do it. Either way, I hope I can play this. I hope I can play this and it won't make me sick, because I would like to play it and it was suggested by one of you guys, and that makes me just be like, I really should check it out. And now we have our final game of the convention, and it is Onimusha Dawn of Dreams for the PS2. I own Onimusha 1, 2, and 3. I've played Onimusha 1 and 2. I've never played 3. Actually, I also own Blade Warriors, I should mention. I love Blade Warriors. I played that so much as a kid, especially because you could unlock Mega Man EXE and Zero from the Mega Man Zero series specifically. And Onimusha is something I've always enjoyed. I love the first game. I wasn't crazy about the second game, but it's a series that I've always wanted to revisit beyond just playing the first game again over and over. I very much love Onimusha's combat. I remember when this game came out, back in the day, there was a thing about how it kind of changed the somewhat slow, methodical combat of the original Onimusha games and made it more action-y. And on that same note, you can kind of see it has a more over-the-top flair with the way this main character works as compared to how Samanosuke looks, or even how Jubei looks. But yeah, that turned me off from it way back whenever I was in high school or whatever. But now that, I'm looking for more games to play, this seemed like a good one to pick. And I checked every single copy of Onimusha Dawn and Dreams at SEGE. This was the only copy that had its manual. The only one. None of the other ones did. This one had its manual. It was priced exactly the same as all the other ones. It has both the disc. They're in great shape. The manual's in great shape. This is just in great shape. So yeah, I'm excited to dig into the Onimusha series. Those games aren't too long, and it wouldn't take me too much to review them, honestly. They're fairly short. The stories are, for the most part, fairly simple. Maybe I'll add that to the list. I don't know. Considering I'm thinking about a FromSoft year next year, maybe not this, though. I do think it's interesting that Onimusha has a lot of traits that would kind of remind me of From Software, specifically the more slow methodical combat, the slow movement, the simple puzzle solving, which is also very Resident Evil influenced because these are, made by Capcom. And the using defeating enemies and collecting their souls to level up your weapons. And it kind of Onimusha has kind of always made me when I play Dark Souls, I always think Onimusha kind of did this first, but just not in the same way, if that makes sense. So this is definitely a series I would love to play through for the channel. If you guys like Onimusha, please let me know. And that is everything we picked up at SEGE. If you were there, feel free to tell me about your experience and things like that. I didn't see anyone there. I kind of didn't think I would, let's be honest. I don't do face reveals, so even though I dress like my avatar, people seeing me and come on, I'm a micro YouTuber. But, I've heard people say that, heard viewers say that they attend, so I thought it was worth a shot to maybe see if I ever, ran into anyone. Knew it was a long shot, but that is what it is. Either way, thank you for watching. I know this has been a longer video. Just going to go ahead and wrap it up. Give me anything that you saw that looks particularly interesting. I am 100% open to suggestions of hey, you should play this for the channel. That's something I'm good for. Sorry, my son started making noise and I had to stop and be like, what was that? But it's okay. My wife's with him. He's not an unattended child. Don't worry. And sorry about my voice. I'm a little phlegmy, not from sickness, but from I'm always congested around this time of year and stuff like that. So that's just what that is. But either way, please Give me kind of suggestions about things you guys would like to see. I always take those into account. It doesn't mean I necessarily always jump to review those games, but I do have a list of like, viewer recommendations or videos viewers want to see. So like I do listen. I may not always act on it, but I'm listening. And also, feel free to recommend me game series that I maybe don't know about. I'm one man. I can't know everything. I'm sure there are hidden gems out there. Feel free to put them on my radar. So until next time, which I hope will be, I have another couple smaller video type things, maybe a demo discourse coming out, but the next big video should be Armored Core 3. So until then, take it easy.